Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Alright, today what we're going to talk about are the best champions to take to a high SIG and why. As you know, if you've been playing this game for a while, there's a lot of good champions that do really benefit from being awakened, having that SIG level awakened. But there's not that many really great champs that need to be a really high SIG. So the champions that you really want to invest um, a lot of your signature stones in to get them to a really high sig or maybe even max sig, depending on which character it is and what their signature ability is. So I'm going to run through each category, each type of class of champ, um, and just let you know, in my opinion, which are the best ones to at least have to a high sig or maybe even max sig. So we'll get right on. The first class we're going to go through is Mutant. So the first champ we're going to talk about is Colossus. So um, here we are. So whenever one of Colossus' immunities protects him from an effect, he has a 25 to 52% chance, so depending on SIG level, to gain an armor up buff lasting 15 seconds. So if you've got a max SIG, over 50% chance to gain an armor up buff lasting 15 seconds. And again, if you've got a max SIG, 45% chance to convert those armor up buffs when they expire into a permanent armor up buff. So those two things there with the armor up buffs work really, really well for Colossus. So, in my opinion, I mean, he benefits greatly from being awakened. He doesn't really have to be awakened, but if he is awakened, you get him to a high sig. As you can see, it's a massive plus for Colossus. I'll try to be as quick as I can with this guy so it doesn't last a really long time for this video. The second champ we're going to talk about is Omega Red. So here we go. As you all know, his main damage is all about the death spores. So death spores on the opponent deal 357 damage all the way up to 2,874 damage per second. So, and also chance to be unblockable goes to 10 to 30%. The main thing with this is just the damage with the death spores. So if you've got a SIG 200, it goes all the way up to 2,874 damage per second. That is a massive difference. So again, Omega Red is one that really, if you can, he needs to be a max SIG. So for Mutant class, he probably would be one of your very first choices to max SIG. The other champion that needs to be, probably in my opinion, max SIG for Mutant class, which is amazing champ, is Namor. So if you're not aware, Namor takes up to 100% reduced damage from all sources while attacking his opponent. So when Namor ends an attack, any damage prevented by hydrokinetic armor is captured and sent back to the opponent as energy damage. So I don't know, someone like Electro, you'll be taking damage when you're actually hitting Electro, but all that damage that you do take will go straight back once you finish the attack. Okay, so that is Mutant out of the way. So the next one we're going to talk about is skill class. And the very first one that probably comes to your mind as well as mine is Aegon. So at the end of the fight, Aegon adds 10 to 75% of his final combo meter into his persistent combo up to 999 hits total. Aegon's abilities that count the combo meter add his persistent combo on top of it. So if you're familiar with Aegon, or if you're not familiar with Aegon, then the whole thing around Aegon is his ability to ramp up. So long fights. So he will add 75% of his combo meter at the end of each fight, up to a total of 999 hits. And I won't go into it in this video, but as it goes up, as it ramps up, he gets a lot of different things going for him. So the next one we're going to go through is a new champion, Shang-Chi. So the big one with this is the critical hits. So deal up to 20% of hit damage as a burst of physical damage. This ability is based on damage before checking block proficiency, armor, and resistances. You can perform critical hits to the opponent's block. It's just all about damage. Thanks to 20% damage. So, he's an amazing champ. I'd say he's probably one of the top 5 skill champs now. So if you're lucky enough to get him at the moment, then he is definitely worth ranking up in a high sig. The next champ we're going to talk about is Crossbones. I've always liked Crossbones ever since I first started playing the game years ago. He just wasn't overly great, but now he's one of the top skill champs in my opinion. So at the minute now, if you can get him up to max sig, so Hydra training allows him a 40 to a 90% chance to purify incoming debuffs. Each time he does so, he gains a Fury buff. So 90% chance to purify incoming debuffs, and each time he does, he gains a Fury. So that is amazing. So shrugging off debuffs is the name of the game with him. The next one we're talking about is Falcon. So Lock On. Lock On is Falcon's big signature move. So Lock On lasts 2 seconds longer and provides an additional 1950 crit rating if you can get him to Sig 200. So crit like crazy. Get him locked on. Max Sig, almost every hit is a crit. So again, another massive plus with Falcon. And the last but definitely not least, Kingpin. So Kingpin, he enters each fight with a 2 to 4 rages active. And when Kingpin's overpower buff ends, this is a big one, he has a chance to gain up to 5 rages, with each having a 30 to 90% on max sig chance to activate. So fantastic Kingpin. And that will do it for skill class. So the next class we're going to do is Cosmic. Not a lot with Cosmic. Quite a few that need to be awakened or benefit greatly from being awakened, but not a lot need that high sig. This is one of them. Angela. For each buff on Angela, her opponent suffers the following: 35% nullified auto block ability accuracy, and minus 10 to 35% damaging debuff duration. So she greatly benefits from that max sig if you can get her to max sig. Cull Obsidian is the next one. Okay, so once Cull Obsidian's route has expired, it goes into cooldown and can be reactivated after 29 seconds, or all the way down to only 10 seconds if you've got a max sig. And when it enters cooldown, the aggression is awarded with a Fury buff, granting 3,600 to almost 6,000 attack for 4 seconds. So if you've got a max sig, it will go into cooldown for 10 seconds. But the first 4 seconds of that, like I said, if you've got a max sig, you'll get a Fury for an extra 6,000 attack. So the buff gains 1 second duration for each hit landed while route was active. So that is massive for Cull. And that is it for Cosmic. The next one we're going to go over is the Tech class. Again, not many in this one either. At least in my opinion, they're really, really good champs. I mean, one person that I think really is a bit underrated is Mcoc. That needs to be max sig. But as more and more champs come out now, he's kind of getting pushed further and further down the pecking order. But the person I'm going to talk about on this one is Guardian. I think Guardian is an amazing champ. When he has an armor up, while Guardian has an armor up effect, he gains the following effects: max sig, 2,600 block proficiency, almost 9,000 energy resistance, 80% bleed resistance, and 328 critical damage resistance. So if you've got a max sig, he gets armor up, he becomes a tank. So absolutely fantastic. Well, the second to last one we're going to go through is Science. So the Science class, a couple, and I'm sure you know who they are, but if not, the first one we're going to talk about is Captain America Infinity War. He is one of these, or both of these champs in the Science class need to be Sig 100 or 200, whether you're 4-star, 5-star, but they need to be max Sig. So, depending on who you've got him in his team, if you've got a mutant in the team, 100% chance when triggering a special one to gain a kinetic potential. Skill in the team, 100% chance whenever a debuff is gained, consume a kinetic potential and purifies that debuff. Science character in the team. 100% chance on well-timed blocks to replace a 10% weakness buff for 10 seconds. Mystic in the team. 100% chance to gain a kinetic potential each time a buff expires or is nullified on the opponent. Cosmic. 100% chance on a block to place an armor break on the opponent, reducing their armor by 244 for 10 seconds. And last but not least, the tech. If you have a tech on the team, 100% chance on the well-timed block to place a 25% petrify debuff on opponent for 10 seconds. So as you can see, Awakening is only 40% chance. If you want to bank on any of these, he needs to be max sig. I can't stress that enough. If you've only got him, if it's a 5-star and you only got him sig 140 or 150 or whatever, and it's only 80%, and you take him into Cavalier or some of this in-game stuff, and you're banking on, some of these things procking, you just can't. You just absolutely can't. You need to make sure he's sig 200. So that's why 6-star Cap Infinity War, you don't see too many of them ranked up because it's so difficult to get them sig 200. If you've got one sig 200, then fantastic, great for you. But most people, it's almost more reliable to have the 5-star because it's so easy to, much easier to get those sig stones to get them to sig 200. And the last one, reliable Void. So, when all intimidating presence debuffs are at max stacks, instead of being removed, those debuffs are converted into a passive Fear of the Void that combines their effects and grants Void sig 200 up to 4,356 attack rating for 40 seconds. So a massive boost to the attack. And when Fear of the Void is active, intimidating presence generates debuffs up to 60% faster. So he hits like a truck, and he churns out those debuffs 60% faster. So that is it for Void and the Science class. The last one, you think, where the heck are the Mystics? In my opinion, none of the top Mystics need to be high sig. That might be contrary to what how you feel. But a couple of top Mystics at the minute, Clairvoyant doesn't really benefit from being awakened that much. Dr. Doom needs to be awakened. I mean, people max sig him because he's such a high champ, but he's such a high prestige champ. But other than that, he doesn't really benefit from it massively. He doesn't have to have it. So that is it for me, guys. If there are any other champs that you think that I may have missed or overlooked that are really, top level champ that you feel needs to be a really high sig level or max sig, then drop it in the comments. But if you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you later. Take care.